Hello friends, this is 3 a.m. Europe, which stands for Three Angels Messages in Europe, and we have some incredible information to share with you. I haven't done any clip like this, and this is the first time, but I feel compelled to do it because I believe what is happening in the world is out of this world. And what I'm referring to, of course, is what is happening at the global financial markets. The world economy is rocking, it's swinging back and forth, and I hope you have grasped at least the significance of what is taking place. If you haven't, then give me some minutes to break down what is happening. Since the crash in 2008, I've been highly interested in the global financial markets. In the past 7 years, I have followed these different trends. As I, and of course many more highly educated financial analysts, have been observing that what is happening in the financial world is that we are actually in a worse economic situation that we were in 2008. If you don't believe me, then you obviously don't believe the BIS, the Bank of International Settlement. They are also called the central bank of the central banks. And in an article at The Guardian, they stated that the world is defenseless against the next financial crisis. And the BIS warns that monetary policymakers have run out of room to fight the next crisis with interest rates unable to go lower. Now, the reason for that is that since central banks have been trying to quote-unquote solve the financial crisis in a short-term perspective by just lowering interest rates and hoping for the best, when the next financial crisis comes, and friends, I believe it is just around the corner, the way we see everything is going to change. It's going to change the world, it's going to change our lives, and the freedoms which we so enjoy and cherish at the moment. They're going to be all taken away. And I believe what is happening in Greece, for instance, is what we will see soon all around the world. And the last couple of weeks and months, people have been captivated by the Greek debt crisis, where the Greek government is said to have a debt of more than 323 billion euros. I mean, these are just amazing numbers. And the thing is this, everybody knows that there is a problem, but if nothing will be done in the near future, if no solution will be given, you are going to see a humanitarian crisis not seen since the Second World War, where a European nation will resemble a third world country. So everybody sees the problem, but the question is there any solution? Nobody actually knows, but there are at least three major alternatives, and let me share them with you quickly. The first alternative, what will happen in the next couple of days and weeks, is a Grexit, meaning Greece is going to leave the Eurozone. Greece is going to leave the euro, it's going to launch its own currency back, the drachma. And this move, though, may have many great consequences. For instance, if Greece leaves the Eurozone, and it may mean that other nations in Europe, which are in a great crisis, such as Italy, Spain, Portugal, and other countries, may do the same. So what will you do then? As you can see, the European Union is a house of cards. We may even see geopolitical shifts where Greece and Russia may come closer. We'll see about that. But this move would definitely collapse, at least attempt to collapse, the banking and financial system of Greece. Solution number two, or alternative number two, is get another bailout. The only reason Greece could the past couple of years exist and give out payments and pensions and so forth was due to the bailouts that have been offered by the Troika, the European Central Bank, the International Mafia Fund, monetary fund of course, and a European government-sponsored fund, and they all purchased Greek bonds. Now, media has been telling you that the reason why Greece has not accepted any bailout from the Troika is because of the requirements of the payment terms. But you see, what media has not been telling you is that already in 2012, there was a leaked letter from the Troika where they've been calling for a 6-day work week and making Sunday a day of rest. They argued when it came to measure, you can all check it out on the internet, that to increase flexibility of work schedules, what needed to be done is that needed to increase the number of maximum work days to 6 days per week for all sectors. And I had already mentioned this in a lecture in the UK in April 2013. And we will see how things will work out in the near future. But as I've been telling you many times, I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and for me to see that Sunday is becoming a day of rest is absolutely amazing, because this is what I've been telling you for most of the time, for many, many years. But there's a third alternative. Let me share that with you quickly before we go on to another phase of this financial crisis, and that is a debt relief. You see, it is said that just as Germany received debt relief, or debts were cancelled after the Second World War, and Germany has actually never repaid the debts of it, so member states in the UA, which are suffering from all of these financial problems, including Greece, should get some kind of help. Now, whatever the solution will be, I think is going to be either point number 2 or point number 3. And why point number 3 is so important is because there's been a call from Pope Francis, from the Pope, to make next year into a year of mercy and jubilee. Now you see, the jubilee is a biblical term where the land of Israel was supposed to celebrate jubilee every 50th year. And the depth of an individual and the depth of a family and a group was supposed to be written down. And I wish we could have some time developing this, but my question to you is this. Is this maybe an insight into the future of the world economy? Now you may say, Sebastian, you are jumping way too fast into some conclusions, but you see, Jeremy Sachs, he's a special advisor to Ban Ki-moon. He's the boss at the United Nations, and he's also an advisor to Pope Francis. And this Mr. Sachs said, talking about the depth of Africa, listen to this, the time has come to end this charade. The debts are unaffordable. If they won't cancel the debts, I would suggest the obstruction. You do it yourself. Africa should say, thank you very much. We need this money to meet the needs of children who are dying right now. So we'll put the debt servicing payments into urgent social investments in health, education, drinking water, control of AIDS, and other needs. Friends, only time will tell. But while the crisis of Greece is developing, it seems to be that, at least in Europe, people are surprised to hear about Puerto Rico's financial situation. I was with some friends, and they were all talking about Greece. And I told them, did you hear about Puerto Rico? And they were surprised to even know that Puerto Rico was in a financial collapse. Because last week, Puerto Rico's governor said its islands are not payable. He said, quote, the debt is not payable. There is no other option. I would love to have an easier option. This is not politics, this is math. And the reason why this is important is because this highly affects the US economy, which is also in grave crisis. But even another country which seems to go deeper and deeper every day towards full collapse is China. China's stock markets, the second largest in the world, have been in free fall since the 12th of June, falling almost 30% in a couple of weeks. And listen to this, the amount of wealth that has been wiped out during the Chinese stock market crisis is already greater than the entire yearly GDP of Brazil. What do you say about that? And what is so disturbing about this current crash is that it is so similar to what we witnessed just prior to the great financial crisis of 2008 in the United States. From October 2006 to October 2007, the Shanghai Composite Index more than tripled in value. It was the greatest stock market surge in Chinese history. But after hitting a peak, it began to fall dramatically. From October 2007 to October 2008, the Shanghai Composite Index absolutely crashed. In the end, more than 2/3 of all wealth in the market was completely wiped out. And you see, what makes this so important, not only for US investors, but regular people, for you and me, is the fact that Chinese stocks started crashing well before US stocks started crashing during the last financial crisis. And now it's happening again. Is this yet another sign that the US stock market crash is imminent? You know, in the past several weeks and months, even mass media has admitted that the market is about to collapse and it is going to be ugly. And now you may say, you know, I don't care about what is going on in Asia, but friends, if the second largest stock market is in the state of crisis, you better pay attention. You know, if you make a historical study, which I have been doing, if you make a historical study of the different financial collapses in the West, you will discover that the financial crises, especially in the US and in the West, they come around every 7 years or so. This is based upon a 7-year cycle of economic crashes. In September 2010, the worst financial crisis took place when Lehman Brothers collapsed, and the Great Depression in the 30s was not perhaps that great in comparison. Now, the last time the stock market experienced a crisis of this nature was when the dot-com bubble burst in 2011, 7 years earlier, also in September, in 9/11. 7 years before that, in 1994, the worst bond market was experienced, and if you go back 7 years and count, you will come to 1930s, where this has been repeated ever since. And in an article in The Guardian, they have already stated that if history is a guide, the next crisis should come along sometime soon. Friends, I'm not saying that the crash will come in September 2015. Don't get me wrong, I'm not setting any dates, not even for this. But many interesting things will happen in September. The Pope is going to visit the United States in September. He's going to talk in Washington at the United Nations. He's going to be speaking at the Congress. And, you know, these are wow things. What I say, though, is that there is an interesting historical pattern. Is a cycle of 7 years that is keep being repeated. And now we are coming to 2015. And the question is, where will this lead? Now, I don't have all the time and I don't have all the answer to you, but I know this. As a Bible-believing Christian, and I'm not ashamed to tell it to people. I'm a Bible-believing Christian, and I truly believe that we are living in interesting times. We are living in fascinating times. And the prophecies of Revelation are going to be fulfilled. We see already now this new world order is going to be set up. The whole world is going to follow this Antichrist power, and this power says that they have the solutions for the world's problems. These are economic problems, these are societal problems, but these are also ecological problems. In other words, environmental problems. And this power says we have the solution to it. And as this solution is getting forth, an economic order is going to be founded. Because in Revelation chapter 13, we are told that in the last days, Bible-believing Christians or those obeying the commandments of God will be economically punished if they don't receive the mark of the beast. And that's how I see this current crisis is leading into this punishment which those who are faithful to God are going to suffer. Because it says in Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17, it also forced all people, great and small, rich and poor, free and slave, in other you and me, to receive a mark on their right hands or on their foreheads. And verse 16 said that they could not buy or sell unless they had the mark. What I want you to see for the moment is not the mark of the beast. We're going to have a presentation on the mark of the beast soon, but that people are going to be economically controlled. In other words, the solution to which statesmen, politicians, leaders, and so forth are going to give is to tackling the world's largest problems. But this solution is going to be against God's word and the commandments of God. And because of that, God's faithful people are and cannot with good conscience be a part of this solution, even though how good it may appear. And so first, their financial rights and privileges are going to be taken away. And we see that this coming crisis may create just that. You see, in order to force people, because that is what Scripture says, the world, you need to control the financial systems. And it is interesting that the Vatican has already stated in several documents, please check it out with Benedict XVI, for instance, at Vatican.va, you have the document towards reforming the international financial and monetary systems in the context of global public authority. And there are some politicians and leaders who are saying that we need to make cash illegal, forcing everyone to spend only, it is said in The Guardian, forcing everyone to spend only by electronic means from an account held at a government-run bank should give the authorities far better tools to deal with recessions and economic booms. And so they say it's time to abolish cash. Now this would indeed make it easier, not only dealing with the recessions, but in controlling people and the society. So you say, what should you do? Well, I don't give financial advices. What I give, though, are spiritual advices. What we are soon going to see, no gold, no silver, no gun, no bullet is going to help you, but I believe it's only a personal relationship with Jesus and the hope that Jesus is coming soon to deliver us from sin, to deliver us from the evil state of reality, is what is going to help us go through this crisis that is before us. Jesus is coming back so that we can enjoy eternity with him, which was God's original plan for humankind. And don't be afraid of what is coming. I'm not afraid of what is coming. I'm actually more than happy to know that this is a big sign that Jesus is coming soon. And I truly hope that you take the decision today to follow him and take the step towards Jesus today. We have some more presentations coming up, and stay in tune. Please subscribe and please follow us on YouTube. Thank you guys, and God bless.